Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Blys 44. This tier 8 premium destroyer was originally released for Admiral bundles, so very expensive for a tier 8. Now that it's back though in the new Salvage event, and the 52, Blys 52 is incredibly expensive in that event, the 44 might be worth looking at in this Salvage event. It's going to be 20 stages of that event, which will require you to spend 30k research points or 360 days of premium time or 7.5 million commander XP or 15k steel. And you can mix and match that, so any combination to add up to those 20 stages, which is interesting, I think. Considering this ship has a 5-kilometer hydro, really good AP DPM with improved pen angles and very short fuses and arming thresholds, decent concealment, surprisingly good speed, especially with this engine boost up. It's a pretty strong cab contester. The downsides of a gunboat like this one is going to be no healing, no smoke, not the best AA. So going off on your own, if there's a carrier in the game, it's going to be a little bit tricky. Trying to do the open water gunboat, especially when you don't have your engine boost up, is also going to be a little bit difficult. However, I had a decent time playing this ship again. It's not the strongest DD, but at tier 8, this thing's a bit of a monster at hunting down enemy destroyers. I had the most success playing the ship trying to deal with the enemy destroyers. Being AP only, you do struggle a little bit more to farm down battleships and deal with cruisers. That's going to be the another weak point of this ship. As for that AP DPM, as a reminder, it's 222,000 AP DPM, which is decent, but something like Akizuki, which is the best tier 8 DD for DPM, gets 272,000 AP DPM. It does not have the improved pen angles like Blys 44 does. However, it gets HE with 30 mil pen to farm with. They're different DDs though. Blys 44 is way faster, and having the utility of a hydro to contest caps, certainly a cap like this one with an island in the middle is very appealing to go after. It allows you to isolate fights and spot the enemy destroyers that may be on the other side of it. Farming over these islands like this allows us to not worry so much when our engine boost is down. You're going to find that the acceleration is a little slow without that engine boost, even with prop mod, and then the rudder is not the best either. Something like 4.5 seconds is fine, but it's a little bit sluggish for the open water gunboating playstyle if you're trying to do that with this ship. Given that it doesn't have a heal, I'm not trying to do that, at least early game. I'm trying to find positions like this. Ambushing with the torpedoes works quite well. However, they don't have a lot of damage. It's not like they're improved on their alpha damage like we see on the new Blys 52. This is 10,700 alpha damage. They go 12 kilometers and travel at 76 knots. 80-second cooldown on those, and you do get 6 of them total. Not the best torp boat, but they're serviceable. It's nice to have as an option. Sometimes you're going to feel a little bit locked out of games if you're only a bit gunboat, and certainly one with not the best shell velocity. It's really nice to have that option to use torpedoes. Throw them in a gap, throw them across cap zones early on. You can surprise a lot of DDs that way. Certainly the more sluggish ones might not be able to get out of the way. Speed is pretty decent. That's another reason that the hydro is so useful for Blys 44. When you're trying to play this DD hunter role, cap contester role, you're just inevitably going to eat torpedoes as a DD. No matter how good you are, you're just going to happen to run into some random torpedoes from time to time. And having a hydro is so useful for avoiding that. It's going to add a lot of consistency to your gameplay when you have that option to just see the torpedoes long before they get to you. So we get a pretty decent cap contester here, solid gunboat pressure, especially if you're finding those broadsides. Some of the salvos are pretty decent. Angled ships, not so good. Real long duration farming, of course, lacking fires is going to be a problem. Is that worth it? Of course, value discussion, it's totally up to you. But bringing up something like premium time, as that is our only frame of reference in this salvage event for what real money cost might be, 360 days of premium is going to cost you 96 US dollars. Now, I'm pretty sure this ship's Admiral bundle was in that 70 to 80 US dollar range when it was released, so if you're just straight up trying to buy it out of this event, it is a little bit more expensive. I think where it gets a little more interesting with Blys 44 is if you have a lot of in-game resources to exchange for this thing. Or maybe you're someone who opens up a lot of Christmas boxes and gets a lot of premium days, and they're just sitting there. Perhaps that's another way to go for it. 30,000 research points is kind of interesting, as it's like 10k more. That's one more reset that isn't doubled on top of a legendary upgrade. So a slight tweak to the way a ship plays versus a whole premium DD. That's kind of interesting. Tier 9s being in that 43k range for research points is a little bit more, certainly, but maybe a little more unique playstyles that you can find within those normal research point ships. And then tier 10s being a little over 60k. So this is half of a tier 10 research bro ship. Could be interesting in those two regards. As for elite commander XP, well, not a lot of people have 7.5 million, or if you do, you've been playing a long time, so you probably have some of these other resources to trade as well. At that point, it's up to you, of course, with value. No matter what, it's up to you guys with value discussion. I will say steel, please don't spend steel on this thing. We have the new Steel Will event coming up at the end of this year. Some new ships being released in that event, as well as returning ones like Valparaiso, for example. So spending steel on something like this early, it doesn't seem to quite make sense to me. I would save my steel personally. So research points, premium days, elite XP. It's up to you if it's worth it or not. As for the playstyle of this ship, I will say it's fun to go after the DDs with it, but it's not an easy ship to play it. Not having a heal is a big disadvantage relative to the new 52. Of course, the price on that one is way higher in this salvage event, but having a heal really makes this gunboat playstyle work so much easier. You can trade so much more, you can play so much more aggressive, and it works because you have that comeback mechanic of a heal, allowing you to make mistakes, allowing you to play too aggressive, scout for your team, and maybe you run into that radar cruiser. Well, it's not a game ender, assuming that you get out of that radar range before you go down. Where with Blys 44, no smoke, no heal, you gotta play a little bit more careful. The more I played passive early on, waited for the game to develop and decide a little bit later on where I can go and push and play aggressive, the better this ship worked out for me. Having a 5-kilometer hydro is nice, but we have ships with radars. We have DDs with radars. Speaking of Blys 52, that thing's got a 9-kilometer radar. Short duration, sure, but that's a pretty massive advantage that ship does have. Blys 44 has the concealment, though, at 6 kilometers. It's pretty much in line with the best of gunboat DDs, hybrid DDs, and some of the torp boats at 5.6 or 5.4 at tier 8 here, like Kagero. They're a little bit better stealth, but we're so quick. With this engine boost up, it's a little over 50 knots if we're going in a straight line. It allows us to catch up to those DDs relatively quickly, I would say. It's nice to have that concealment advantage. However, it doesn't mean that you can take those trades very early on, very easily. Assuming you get their broadside, the destroyers, you're doing great damage. As you've seen through the clips in this video, the damage is kind of incredible when the destroyers are broadside. Upwards of 4k salvos, less than 4-second reload. That is very nice. However, when they angle, that's the real problem here. And this was my very first game that I played in this ship again, so you'll have to forgive the aim a little bit, but we're going to see some angled destroyer fights later on, and just notice how many bounces we get. It is very difficult to deal damage with this thing when ships are angled. Perfectly angled, mind you. And even slightly angled. I was surprised at how many shatters or bounces, or just how low some of these low damage some of these salvos were. The pen angles are very good. 60 to 75 degrees is great. Better than even the Fen Yang at this tier. It's better than Des Moines pen angles, and yet the salvos felt a little anemic from time to time. We'd get some great ones like that, and then at times it'd be like 100 or 300 damage per salvo. I'm not sure what that is. Perhaps it's just down to the really small caliber of guns here, 102 millimeter guns, shells that maybe are a little floatier. We don't have a ton of pens, so maybe that's also contributing to things, but it's not the best damage dealer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's still very good. We get flashes of incredible damage out of the AP, But maybe this is something I crutch on a little bit too much when I'm playing my destroyers, is the high explosive. Cruisers as well. I tend to just use HE a lot of the time because I don't trust AP, considering its overpens, its bounces, its shatters a lot more on lighter targets as well, where HE just feels so consistent. And so I feel like I miss that here a little bit on Blys 44. But just know when I'm playing something like Daring, I will use the AP, but I'm not going to be aggressively swapping to the AP. And that's maybe my own playstyle and a difference there. If you're someone who really enjoys full AP Daring and going into gunfights like that, maybe you'll enjoy the AP on Blys 44 here more than I did. But I found that, I mean, here it's an example of getting used to leading these guns, sure, but at times we're getting some decent salvos for hits, and they're just not actually dealing that much damage, thanks to bounces or overpens or just not high alpha damage salvos. It's a ship that needs to flank, it needs to surprise enemy ships with its hydro, it needs to find broadsides. And when it does that, it's kind of incredible and is an absolute bully on cap zones. But if you're chasing, it's going to be a little bit rough like this. If your team melts on the flank or the enemy ships are just really powerful and pushed up to the caps, and you don't maybe to have the best support on your cap, it's very easy to die very early in Blys 44. We have decent HP up front, but that HP can evaporate. And I do need to mention that these firing angles, while they look good on paper, there's some weird overhangs on the front and rear turrets that actually block some of the firing angles at far ranges. So when you're trying to elevate the guns, they actually bump into this like metal overhang over top of the guns, front and back turrets. So 32 forward, 32 backwards sounds great, but it's something more in the 40 or 50 degree range when you're firing at longer ranges. Again here, not quite able to finish off this enemy Blys. Not my best example of gunnery. Okay, I missed a lot of shots. My aim could use some work, but try to look at the ones where I actually did lead properly on that one and see some of the anemic salvos when we're angled. That's what I'm trying to show you here. As much as I'd love to go for that B cap center area, double carrier game makes things a little bit tricky. At least this time, we do have a tier 8 game, this ship, and down to tier 6s. This ship will certainly struggle into some of those full up tiers as well, the HP being a issue. High tiers, tier 10s, definitely do a great job of taking you out pretty early on. I'm going to pop our AA off now for a little bit, and looks like the enemy DD is also playing a little bit further back. Carrier games certainly do change up how you have to approach the game, and it's a little bit unfortunate. When you don't have a heal in particular, it makes it quite difficult. So we're trying to avoid as much incoming damage as we can. Looks like he's going after the cruiser, but I'm still not going to... Can I avoid this damage? I'm still not going to go for the cap yet, okay? We just want to play closer to our teammates. That's really what it comes down to. They're AA support. And playing safe early, okay? I need to stress this quite a lot when it comes to playing the Blys 44. HP is a resource, yes, but very limited in this case, as we want to be a gunboat, and doing so on low HP into the late game is very difficult. So we're just going to hold. We're going to try and flank a bit. We're going to try and find opportunities. 12-kilometer torp range is very nice, though. With our Brandenburg pushing up, then it gives me a little more confidence to play a little closer. However, I still don't want to offer up a very easy target for potential enemy carrier here. See how important it is to keep our AA off? Staying dark here is a big deal. All right, let's throw some random torps. They're in the cap now. Ranger coming through now. Very tricky. Notice they haven't done a lot on A. So perhaps they have some decent support over here that we'll have to watch out for. That's a little further back yet still. AA off still. And now we'll turn it on to help while also trying to shoot the enemy destroyer. Can I get that over? Not quite. Close. All right, AA goes off again, and I mean, I'm going to try and support my Brandenburg. Certainly. I am going to Hydro now. And I'm still haven't used my engine boost. Notice, we're trying to save our engine boost for those emergencies for fights, because that is a ton of maneuverability that we don't want to just use without considering the cooldown time, I guess. It's not the longest duration, and the cooldown time is a little painful at times. Here we go. Now we use it. And we also turn our AA on. And we see some good damage, and then he angles to us, eh? There we go. Now he's broadside again. And the damage ramps. He shot, so now I don't have to worry about getting so far away that he actually goes dark. That was one of the reasons I actually stopped as well. I wanted to keep him lit as long as possible. Nice. We get him? Great. And now we can help our Brandenburg. We can just be some supporting fire, but they're angled. Angled ships don't take a lot of damage from this thing. Notice I've actually dropped the range mod. In our third clip of the commentary section, I did have range mod. And that was my first battle I played. I just find the extra range isn't like the most helpful thing. I would much rather reposition and find broadsides rather than trying to farm at these further ranges, and I don't know. I wanted to have a little more DPM too, okay? I enjoy having the full build with Fearless Brawler alongside BFT, whatever it's called right now these days. Full DPM build. And so we lack a little bit of range then. Getting okay-ish damage. Can we finish him off before the round? Please? Nice. Okay, good. Brandenburg is going to go down, but maybe he gets a little more damage on this Prince Heinrich. We have to note Zieten is walking in here now. Okay, so he goes down. Can we finish you? The fire finishes you. Nice. And, oh, so close. You notice how I went dark for just a second there? That was really cool. That would have been so cool. I think Zieten's probably going to turn this way, by the way. That's why we sent Torps for that way. Something really cool about having less range on your main guns is actually that you don't get spotted nearly as often by people that are just outside of that gun range. You can use many more islands in very interesting ways. Let's see. I think we're going to eat a big hit here. Oh, nice. RNG says we get to live. Carriers make life very difficult for you as a DD player, obviously. But it's something that everyone has to deal with. It's like paying your taxes, right? Everybody's got to deal with it. Nobody likes it. At least that's how I view carriers, okay? We can joke about it, but it is very frustrating. It is very, very frustrating. So is Zieten probably not pushing? At least it appears that he is kiting. Let's maybe look for this cap. Maybe the carriers get distracted by elsewhere on the map. I don't know. I mean, they're not getting a lot of damage off of me, so maybe they would go after someone else, right? If they're looking to farm damage, right? Thank you to my carrier for providing some fighter support. I do appreciate. Yeah, he's going somewhere else. Nice. So, oh, okay. Well, I can't find him now. That's the problem. Is he just gonna run at this fighter? No way, right? I'm gonna use my engine boost if he does. I'm also trying to be mindful of Zieten angle. So I want to angle to Zieten while trying to dodge the incoming planes. It's tricky, man. Not a lot of damage in this one. I apologize for a pretty weak game on my part here, but This is how it goes sometimes when you're playing DD, and certainly double carrier game as a DD. Yeah. I know I see the comments, PQ, another video complaining about carriers, but can you blame me, man? Can you blame me? I don't understand those comments, bro. It's the way of the game. It's the way this game is. It's a very unbalanced experience. So when they're in the game, when I have to face them, I do have to bring it up. And it's not unique to Blys 44. It's not unique to the individual ship that I'm playing that it's uniquely weak to carriers. That's kind of a universal trait, but it does inform a lot of my decision making, right? And it's a massive change. It drastically reduces the amount of impact I can have personally. And the number of options I have to play and flank and experience the game and apply pressure to the enemy team drastically reduced. That's the big thing, is it just reduces the options that you have so much, and I find that annoying. I really enjoy the way surface combat works, and the surface spotting all interacts, and how the three classes interact with one another. And I guess I don't enjoy the change that carriers bring. I don't think it's much up for debate that it changes things, and then I'll just say I don't enjoy that change. All right, engine boost. That way, maybe we can do this, and he doesn't have time to click. We're fast. Yeah, nice. Okay, we're fast enough. Great. And I'll pop the AA off again so that we remain dark. I don't know, do I go after the carriers at this point? Bit of a, maybe not a blowout. Given how my ship performed, it didn't feel like I was doing a whole lot too. Maybe that's it as well. Trying to make a video, and the live game we get is a little bit disappointing. Perhaps that's what it comes down to as well. But I think it's important, if I am going to do these live games, we take what we get, right? It's we're not going to cherry pick just good games. I will do that for the commentary section. I want to show you guys the strengths of ships. And with Blys 44, let's get back to this thing. The strength, obviously, is the AP into DDs when they're broadside is filthy. It is so, so good. And even into cruisers and battleships to a certain extent is pretty good. Certainly when they're broadside, it's much, much better. The engine boost getting us up over 50, at least before I turned there. It's really, really nice as well. And it's just a hard destroyer to play. DDs are not easy to play in general, obviously. But this one in particular, I would say you might have a tough time playing this one. Tier 10 games, carrier games, you know, that sort of thing. It's difficult. Looks like they're after our San Diego. He's pretty low, so I will be next on the chopping block. But 33 seconds. Maybe San Diego lives. If he doesn't, be another like minute and 30. Yeah, something like that. Lexington at range, angle. I mean, we're just going to bounce most of that. Well, maybe not, actually. AA still off. So we're going to force them to find us, although it's not hard, right? They're 10 times faster than I am. Something like that. 5 times. And how much do we eat? Okay, nothing. He missed. Great. 4 seconds, and we're free. Nice. We didn't get tortured too bad in this one. But I played safe, right? Like, I actively wasn't really participating in the battle during... Oh, wow. 1 bomb hit us for, like, half our HP. I wasn't participating much, right? So that's kind of the downside there, too, is we don't really get to play when the carriers are kind of on us like that. Unfortunate battle to get with this one, but it is what it is, right? That's kind of a look at Blys 44. I don't think it's the most powerful DD. I do think it's quite hard to play. Having 6-kilometer detect with a 5-kilometer hydro gimmick is really good. Having the engine boost be a 25% engine boost is very powerful. Alongside 41 knots base is very good. Turning radius is great at 610 with a little bit slower rudder shift. Once The rudder has shifted. It turns quick, but it's a little sluggish on that rudder shift. The AA is very weak. I was surprised by that with Bliss 52 as well. I would have thought by, you know, I'm no historian or whatever, but by 1944, certainly by 1952, wouldn't AA be like the entire point of these ships? I don't know. I'm not one who wants everything to be historically accurate. This is an arcade game, obviously, but you know, it seems a little odd that the AA is quite weak, and especially on a ship without a heal and a smoke, big downside there. Big downside there. 102's little floaty, AP only, bit of a downside there. HP is decent, but again, no heal to sustain that gunboat playstyle. Here's the upgrades I was using. You really do, if you get it, you want to run an engine boost mod on it. That is your lifeline a lot of the time, so make the most out of that. And the build I was using looked a little something like this. Not taking the extra range, opting instead for the extra damage, and I found that worked quite well. We don't really need Superintendent because there's not a lot of survivability upgrades here helping us. I guess the extra engine boost maybe in really long games, but even then it's a little bit less useful than extra damage, or certainly survivability expert I would personally prefer. So there you go. That's an updated look at Bliss 44. I'm glad it's back and available, not for an Admiral bundle. Whether you have enough resources or not, sometimes it can feel a little daunting in these salvage events, certainly. The tier 9, definitely. The tier 8 here is a little bit more reasonable in my opinion, but you can let me know what you think about the ship in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.